I'm Matt, back with another week, season 3, episode 14. We're still going strong here into late November. So, as usual, start off with some NFL talk. Good weekend, nothing special by either of our teams. Both teams took care of business against teams they should beat. But as usual, Cowboys are up first. So they take care of business against the Panthers. Pretty dominant win there. So why don't you just get right into it and give us your take on how the game went?
Yeah, this was I wouldn't say a dominant win because the score was a little misleading, I think, 33 to 10. But this game was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. So I wouldn't say I was just stress-free because it got down to 7. And I admit I got a little worried. I was like, uh-oh, are we gonna pull another Arizona game out of our butts again and stink up the joint and give us any hope lost for the division? But they were able to hang on. They kind of turned on the firepower in the fourth. But the game overall, you're playing the Panthers, a 1-8 team. You got to capitalize and take care of business and capitalize on lesser teams that make mistakes. And to me, the reason why Dallas was up in this game was Carolina was gifting them extra downs. I mean, there was holdings, there was a personal foul that was called on the Panthers defender. It was a third down play. He just blatantly shoved Cavante Turpin out of bounds. The play was dead already, so really no reason for you to do that as a defender. But that kept our drive alive and ended up as a touchdown for CeeDee Lamb to finish that drive off in the second quarter. So, you capitalize on those mistakes. That's what you're supposed to do. But it's the Panthers, right? So you kind of got to expect them to do that. But we did what we had to do. Um, Micah Parsons and the defense, they were kind of flexing some firepower. Parsons had a good game. I think he had 2.5 sacks. He was just relentless. Nobody could block him. They double teamed him. He still got through. He was triple teamed and he still got a sack. So that just shows one, how good Micah Parsons is, and two, just how terrible the Panthers line is. I mean, how do you not block a guy when you have triple team? Like that's just I don't know what to say. So we just took advantage of a lesser tier team up front. Um, but some takeaways. Dak obviously is a big discussion. Nothing really popping off on the box score, 189 yards, but turnover free again. And against a lesser tier team, that's what you got to do. You give them chances, extra downs, you turn the ball over. That's when you get in trouble. So Dak did what he had to do. He managed the game. He made enough throws when he had to. So, it was okay. It was okay. But the story of this game kind of turned in the fourth, like I mentioned earlier, was we saw a flash of Tony Pollard. And that was a beautiful thing to see. He scores his first touchdown since week 1. So for all you Tony Pollard fantasy managers out there, I'm sure you guys finally were breathing a sigh of relief. But that touchdown run was kind of vintage Tony Pollard, but in a way, it was like a little homage to Zeke Elliott. I mean, Pollard had that burst, he hit the hole hard, and then his ability to finish yards after contact. I think he drove the pile about 5 yards. So just a great overall um, run right there to kind of cap this game, break it open. And then obviously the next play, Deron Bland gets the pick six. Uh, I don't even know what else to say at this point. I mean, this guy has 4 pick sixes on the season, and it's a little over halfway through. And I don't know, man. I mean, call me delusional, but how do you not have this guy in the defensive player that you're running at this point? He's not a big name, but it's kind of hard to have four pick sixes in a season, yet alone 2/3 of the way down. So Teron Bland, he kind of makes me forget about Trayvon Diggs, because it's the same kind of player. I was worried when Trayvon Diggs got hurt. I was like, uh-oh, who's going to be the guy across Gilmore now to kind of give us that stability? And he's more than held his own out there. So, man, I can only imagine what it would have been like with Diggs healthy because Deron Bland would just be eating in the slot. He might have six pick sixes at this point. But, the defense did what they had to do. But the only concern was the rush defense. Against Carolina, you allow Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders to go over 100 yards combined. But I just thought they got a little bit too many chunk plays. And then Adam Thielen was kind of annoying that game for me because if you're playing the Panthers, he's the only guy. Yeah, I know you're happy because he's on your fantasy team, and Miles Sanders too. But well, I guess we'll leave that
Man,
one as but it's Adam Thielen or bust. I mean, there's really nobody else that Bryce Young really looks to throw the ball. So I think they had to do a better job of taking him away, send help. I don't care if it's Gilmore or Bland. You can afford to double team him because nobody else is going to beat you. Like, just put it that way. So make Bryce Young go somewhere else. And, they didn't really do a good job of that. So got to be better in that to me, taking away primary receivers. But, overall, at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain about 33-10, right? So the main thing is everybody's healthy except Trayvon Diggs for the most part. So we got a short week. It's the Thanksgiving game against Washington. It's always a big, big day in football. My favorite holiday of the year by default. It's not Thanksgiving, by the way. It's National Cowboy Day, as I call it, because everybody watches the Cowboys, whether you're a football fan or not. That's the prime time game every Thanksgiving. So we just had to move on, survive Carolina, and we got to take care of Washington now. But before we go to your team, there was another thing that happened that was kind of a big deal. Um, Pre-game, Jerry Jones announced to the Fox broadcast booth that long time, or I shouldn't say long time coach, but former coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson, is finally going to be announced into the Dallas Ring of Honor, which is really about time. Kind of, you could argue, him, Tom Landry, who's the best coach in Dallas Cowboy history. I don't know. I'll leave that up to debate, but definitely well deserved. I think he was the reason why we had that 90s dynasty. He set everything up. And I know him and Jerry had their beef over the years that just never ended, but I'm glad they were able to kind of put things aside and finally get this day to come because I'm happy because I get to watch this in person since they announced it that they're going to do it
oh,
on the December 30th game at the Lions. So I'll be there in person to see this ceremony at halftime. So I guess I can't go pee when the second quarter is done because I'm gonna miss a pretty historic moment in Dallas Cowboys history. So I don't know when I'm gonna go pee during the game. I gotta figure that out
just do the old
because
bottle strapped to the.
I know. I mean, I'm probably going to be peeing a lot with the amount of beers I'm going to be drinking before the game. So we'll see. But I just wanted to shout out Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones. Thank you for finally doing this huge moment in Cowboy history. So I'm glad. But football wise, we got to take on Washington now. So please make my Thanksgiving good. That's all I ask because I hate eating junk turkey when the Cowboys lose. It doesn't taste the same. So please, I want to have a happy Thanksgiving again.
Yeah. Well, I don't care when you pee as long as you don't pee uh under an open table or like open area. I don't know if you saw that video that's like going around on Twitter. It's this dude who's like clearly just hammered, and I don't know if it's where it's at.
It was an NFL game.
I don't know if it's an NFL. I think it was a college game. I don't know if it was Oregon State. It was definitely like orange though. There's this dude just like like the standing tables like that are around like the stadium and stuff.
Oh,
He's
it
just
said
straight.
Research Stadium. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
Oregon State.
That
Yeah,
is
that's
Oregon
Oregon
State,
State.
right? Dude
Yeah.
was straight peeing on it. So as long as you don't do that, you'll be fine.
As long as I don't pull a Ty Minatoya and, go on the table.
Yeah, I'm just exposing people out here. But
I didn't say what he did, but I just said I'm just not gonna pull a Ty Minatoya. Nobody knows. If you know, you know.
well, anyway, yeah, just don't do that. You'll be good. Okay, so that was a pretty quick Cowboys talk. Getting on to my Dolphins now. Uh, coming off a bye, not gonna lie, would have liked a cleaner game, but a win is a win. You know, sometimes you gotta win ugly. This one was definitely one of those cases. So start with the, I guess you could say bad. Offensively, you know, looked a little bit rusty. Tua was a little bit off. Um, not like really bad, but he did have an overthrow to Jalen Waddle that ended up in a pick. Had another potential pick. Often outstretched defenders' hands, and had the fumble on the first drive of the game. So like to see the turnovers get cleaned up still. I believe Miami is now like -6 on the year in turnovers, but you know, it's not always going to be pretty. 7-3, you'll take that at the end of the day, right? And the Raiders, I mean, as much of a meme team they usually are,
They've been
uh,
better with a new
they have
coach.
been better. Exactly, with Antonio Pierce now. You are definitely familiar with him, back from his playing days with Giants. So you know the toughness that he brings to that locker room. And yeah, the Raiders finally looked like they had some swagger again. So honestly, was a little worried. This was almost like a trap game, I thought, for Miami, because it's like, oh, it's the Raiders, but they've been playing better as of late with Aiden O'Connell at their as quarterback now. Devontae Adams still there. So, Josh Jacobs, not a team to be taken lightly. And yeah, just like I said, um, shaking off the rust, I think, on offense. Tyreek still just too good. I mean, 10 for what, like 145 and a touchdown.
Just another
Yeah,
day in the
just
office for
another
him.
really on pace to break that 2K record, which it's looking more and more obtainable by the game, by the week. So that'll be something to look forward to as we come down the home stretch of the season. But yeah, offensively, I like to see the turnovers get cleaned up. Um, can't be having those against the good teams, right? You can't be giving the good teams. Um, I'm not saying the Raiders aren't a good team, but like the upper echelon teams, the playoff teams, second, third chances to get the ball back in plus territory. So would like to see that get cleaned up, but not going to overreact because we are still just a little over halfway through the season. But getting to the good, a lot of those turnovers happened inside Miami territory, and the defense has been playing outstanding as of late. Going back to several weeks now, they had a shaky start, but since Jalen Ramsey has been back, I mean, man, is that not like the steal of this Miami team so far? To give up what, a third round pick and a tight end, I think it was, to the Rams to get Jalen Ramsey back. People were saying he was washed, right, in LA, comes over and now has 3 picks in 3 games since being with the Dolphins. So I mean, you really can't sell short how much of an impact he is making on this defense. I mean, really, they didn't even throw to him all game except the two. Like, I think there was one where he got beat on a double move by Devontae Adams, but Aiden O'Connell missed him. Other than that, he was pretty like locked down the whole game. And when you tried him, that's what you're gonna get, right? So to have him uh, opposite of X, Xavier Howard, it is such a luxury. I'm sure you knew from the first, what, 1 or 2 games of the season when you had Gilmore and Diggs opposite of each other. Um, yeah, this defense, they're getting better by the week. And honestly, we're going to need it because you look at defenses like the Chiefs, like the Ravens. Those are really good teams. with really good defenses and really good offenses. So gonna need both sides of the ball to be firing come playoff time. But yeah, couldn't be more happy about this defense, honestly. I mean, the defensive line is finally getting after the quarterback. You got Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb on the end, Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins on the interior. Secondary's playing better. Vic Fangio really seems like he's gotten comfortable with his guys now. And I mean, to give up, um, to hold the Raiders to um, no touchdowns off the turnovers in, on in plus territory, I feel like that just speaks testament to the defense. So really glad to see that. They took care of business at home like they should have. And now we're moving on to face a new quarterback with the New York Jets, Tim Boyle. So,
Ooh.
I mean, hey, Zach Wilson demoted all the way to third string. So, I mean, he had his chance. It just hasn't worked out. Honestly, I'm kind of bummed that he's not starting because I would have loved to see Zach Wilson on Friday. I mean, didn't really see much from Tim Boyle either in the rest of that game against the Bills. But, the Jets defense, man, I don't think you can take lightly their defense at all. I mean, they're the only team this year that's beaten the Eagles, who won again tonight. But um, that just, they had Zach Wilson as their quarterback during that game, so that really just does speak volumes to how good the defense is. I think they turned over Jalen Hurts 3 times in that game.
Yeah, he had that
So
critical late interception too.
mhm. So I mean, this I don't want to say it's a trap game because it's a divisional game, but the offense has been so bad, you kind of figure it's a free win. But no, this Jets defense, they're in New York. The weather's, starting to get that time of the year now. A little bit cold, rainy, not snow yet, but conditions are going to be might be less than ideal. So now we're going to really see a test, I feel like, for this offense. I think the defense, will be okay. I mean, you stop Garrett Wilson, you stop Brees Hall, you let other guys beat you. I think they'll be okay. But I think this is going to be a big test for this offense who started off hot, but, as of late, kind of has been cooled off a little bit by Kansas City and now the Raiders defense. So looking forward to this Friday. Like you said, hopefully it's a good uh, Thanksgiving weekend and hope it's a memorable Black Friday game because it's the first Black Friday game in
That's
NFL
true.
history. So you want to, leave some good history on that, right? Like when you go back, oh, the first Black Friday game, Miami beat New York, whatever, whatever. So, yeah, even more so for a little bit of NFL history on the line, but even bigger for the division because after this week, now if Miami does win against New York, they will have first place in the AFC, which is huge going forward. Um, so other than that,
Aren't they third though? Like as of today?
yeah, yeah. But if they win, they'll move to first because they'll be 8-3. Well, I mean,
Oh, they
Baltimore
gotta
also
wait
has
to
to.
the
Yeah,
games,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
um, but yeah. So we'll see. Um, it's gonna be tight up top in the AFC. So every game is gonna matter at this point. But yeah, not too much to say. Just glad the defense stepped up um, when it mattered, and hopefully we get our kicking problem fixed as well because Jason Sanders cannot hit a field goal past 50 yards. I'm so scared. Even misses extra points sometimes. Anyway,
You don't have Brandon Aubrey this side. Automatic Aubrey.
yeah, I mean he's money, so
No, that's
yeah, that
Brett
would be.
Maher. Money Maher.
I'd still rather have Aubrey than Maher. So
Yeah, me
uh,
too. Me too. I don't have to think twice about that one.
I mean, he's like just super smart, right? Because wasn't he like a like computer something
Aubrey?
science guy? Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah, well, he did go to Notre Dame too, so it's kind of a smart school.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't care if you're smart or not, as long as you can make a field goal. To be honest, as long as you make your field goals and your extra points, it's all good. So he's made every extra point so far. Actually, he missed one this last game, but yeah, he deserves a mulligan. He's been pretty good, the rest of the year. So I'm not gonna rip him on that one.
Okay. Um, but yeah, let's get to a couple other big games. So two big games we want to get to. Let's start with the Thursday night game, which had huge implications in the AFC. I mean, granted, the AFC North. Uh, so the Ravens and the Bengals, and seemed like a must-win game for Cincinnati, Matt. They were, I believe, 5-4 going into it. Uh, took a tough loss against the Texans last week, a game, that felt winnable for them. Came back, but CJ Stroud did his thing. So huge game to gain ground in the division, which just seems like all the teams are winning right now. So not only to lose, gain ground in their division, but also the AFC wild card is extremely tight right now. So, every win is going to matter. But as the game unfolded, got to talk about the injuries that affected this one. So the Ravens did win, obviously. That happened on Thursday. But I mean, Joe Burrow now done for the season. I have to believe that means Cincinnati's season is over.
They're done.
They are done. Just unfortunate because, they finally started getting hot again. And they're an exciting team to watch. Joe Burrow when he's healthy, moving around, making plays. Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins, you got Joe Mixon. And the defense, which has been underrated, I think, this year. But I thought their defense really has been playing, better than last year. But, this one, they were a little bit banged up. I know they didn't have Hubbard. Hendrickson was kind of nicked up, was questionable, but he did play in that one. But man, to lose Joe Burrow, just felt like all the air came out of the tires there. Really, once that happened, I mean, no shot for Cincinnati to win that one, right? You got Jake Browning in there, the Washington quarterback. He's been in the league for a little bit, but he's no Joe Burrow, right? So that was a pretty big blow for them. I think we're calling it on the Cincinnati season. They're now 11th uh, in the AFC, and
Yeah,
yeah,
you can put a fork in their season.
yeah, I think they are done. Good for Miami because I mean that was one more team they didn't have to worry about. But as long as we take care of business, I think the division is in our hands. But the Ravens unfortunately don't come out of this one unscathed either, right? They lose their best receiving option in Mark Edwards. He's now out for the year. And I mean, that I think is going to be a big blow for Baltimore to try to, fill moving forward. I do like their tight end, their backup tight end. I think it's likely, Isaiah Likely. He's a big body guy, can make plays. I know he stepped up well for Mark Andrews. I believe it was last
Last
year
year, right?
when he got
He had
hurt.
some. He had a touchdown.
Yeah,
He had a touchdown spree going.
he had so maybe he's able to fill the void that Mark Andrews is going to leave there, but tough blow for Baltimore. But I mean, it was a good win. They took care of business, did what they needed to do. Gus Edwards stayed hot, 2 more touchdowns. But to me, you do lose Mark Andrews, but one caveat I think you can get from this is maybe finally Odell is shaking off all the rust from being hurt last season. He's been quiet, right? Haven't heard too much out of him, but finally got back in the 100-yard receiving column. So I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of the he's gonna have to pick up the slack for them, right? With Mark Andrews out. You still got Zay Flowers there, who should have had a touchdown, I thought, got called off by the refs. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to bring up the refs this season in the NFL. It's getting a little bit ridiculous at this point. I don't know. Might be time to start getting a little bit more what is that like reviewed calls, I guess, for
More
penalties and stuff like
challenges.
that. More challenges. I don't even know. But yeah, they called the hold on Odell. Did not look like a hold to me. And even I think a pass interference late in that game, right, against Cincinnati, did not look anything close like pass interference to me. So once again, refs make two pretty big calls there. But um, yeah, Matt, I guess Cincinnati is pretty much cooked. I mean, you can only lean on your guys so much. But how good is Jamar gonna be? How good is Joe Mixon gonna be? How good is T. Higgins gonna be with Jake Browning at the quarterback position? I'm not expecting much. Maybe they win a couple more games, but it's just with how tight the AFC is, it's gonna be real hard, I think, for Cincinnati to come back.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think, well, for my sake, I hope T. Higgins does good. I just traded for him, but that was before the Joe Burrow injury, so I'm kind of kicking myself for that one. But on the football side for the team, I mean, there's really only one way I could say they have a chance to win, and it's what we say all the time, even with Joe Burrow. It's you play through Joe, but Joe Mixon, right? I feel like that's the only way they can have some kind of competitive advantage is if he has 80 to 100 yards a game, honestly, 20 touches. So you can play action off of him. And right, you still got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins out there, you got Tyler Boyd. So there's still weapons for Browning to utilize, but with a backup quarterback, you want to establish a run game and play action off of that because it just opens up the field a lot more to me. So if there's any hope, Joe Mixon needs to go kind of crazy. But do I see that happening? No, because I think they're just going to stack the box and put nine guys in there and make them throw. So yeah, they're kind of cooked, but I think it's so interesting that before the game, I don't know if you saw the clip of Joe Burrow. He was walking in with
Mm.
the wrist
Actually, I think
thing.
that was the day before when they got off the
Oh, was it the day
buses.
before?
Yeah, when they arrived
Yeah,
in Baltimore.
and
So,
it was they interviewed him after when he got hurt, and he said like, "Oh, it was some just like it wasn't anything serious, but it's protective gear basically on my wrist." But when I heard that, I was like, "You don't wear protective gear on your hand or your leg unless you're hurt, unless something is sore." So Cincinnati, how do you not list them on their injury report? Like, isn't that kind of a thing that you're supposed to do as an NFL
I think
roster?
they're getting investigated,
I know,
actually.
yeah. So they're being basically penalized for that and investigated because that doesn't make sense to me. So what were they hiding? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I just think that was a little bit suspicious and kind of ironic that he ends up hurting that wrist and he's out for the season. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's a killer. But I mean, for the rape on the Ravens side, I think you brought it up. Odell, he's going to be huge. I think Mark Andrews is really that safe. He's Travis Kelce for them or for Lamar, basically. So you take that away, well, like how good is Lamar going to be in the short intermediate passing game? So Odell is kind of like that guy where it's like, yeah, he needs to kind of carry the load. But I think the Ravens are a little bit more equipped than the Chiefs, for example, in terms of weapons. I trust Zay Flowers a little bit more. I trust Odell a little bit more than the Chiefs receivers. So, and they got Lamar. The one thing about Lamar is he has legs and he can use them better than anybody else in the league at this point. So I think the Ravens, yeah, they're going to hurt, but I've seen Lamar play without Andrews and he's been able to hold up for the most part. So I think they'll be okay, and they're going to be contending for a top seed through the end of the season. That's no doubt about it. Because I mean, their defense is back. They have the Ravens defense back, which is not good for you, the Chiefs, right? You AFC contenders. You don't want to see the Ravens have that defensive identity, and I think they have that this year with the amount of pressures they're getting, the turnovers. So they're going to be a tough out regardless. But yeah, Cincinnati, you're screwed. You're kind of screwed. I was just trying to give you some kind of hope, but we say this every time on the show. We talk about Cincinnati. Like you should just be playing through Joe Mixon and even more so now. So all I gotta say is good luck and just please, please throw the ball to T. Higgins at least like 5 times a game. Just give me something, please.
Yeah, unfortunately for Cincinnati, I think it's time to look on to next year. But you
Yeah, they're
never
picking a
know.
high draft pick though.
Yeah, it's not over, but it feels over. You
It's
know.
over
Okay.
because they don't have a Cooper Rush as backup quarterback. So
Oh, good
that
point.
just shows you how important it is to have a guy back there. So
Right, right. Okay. Well, let's move on to the other primetime game that's worth talking about.
oh my
Um,
god,
and that would be tonight's game,
sick.
the Monday Night Football game. Uh, Eagles at Chiefs. We get the Super Bowl rematch. We get the Kelce brothers rematch again. Uh, Huge implications for both teams being the number one seeds in their respective conferences. And it was a good one. I mean, it was a good game, but it was defensive battle. And, you know, honestly, with how both of their seasons have been going, can't say I'm surprised. The Eagles, they are 9-1, but it's not like they've beaten good teams as well, but it still doesn't feel like they're unbeatable. Even like that feeling last year that the Eagles had when they were steamrolling people, both sides of the ball. I just not getting that same feeling from them. But you look at the record and they're 9-1 and they've beaten good teams. They've beaten the Chiefs. Now they've beaten the Dolphins. They've beaten your Cowboys once, right? So it's not like they're beating up on bad teams all the time, but yeah, still doesn't quite feel like they're that juggernaut that they were last year. And then over to the Chiefs side, Andy Reid, legendary off of a bye, Kansas City, legendary at home, but you know, Patrick Mahomes can only do so much. Uh, with his skill players not coming through. I mean, even Travis Kelce, who's Mr. Reliable, right, has a big fumble in Eagles territory. And then I'm sure you want to get to this, but MVS drops the go ahead touchdown with about a minute and a half to go in the game. Uh, yeah. I mean, I think you got to give props to the Chiefs defense though as well, keeping them, in it for the most part. I believe they did turn over Jalen Hurts again. So, I mean, with a good team like that, you can only do so much, especially at home. But Matt, I know you've been itching to get into it on this game. So why don't you just vent all your frustrations since the Eagles won?
As a Cowboys fan, I was more focused on this game this week than the Panthers, which is terrible because I don't like to look ahead. But there was a window of opportunity for Dallas to gain some ground. You're playing a lesser team. The Eagles go up against the defending champs at their place. I'm like, okay, this is the week we kind of really get back into it. And boy, did Kansas City ever let me down. Maybe this is why I never cheer for them in the Super Bowl, with Brady and whatnot. Because man, talk about choke. Like I can't. I mean, Mahomes, he had a terrible interception. You cannot make that turnover in the red zone.
I agree.
But outside of that one, I mean, I don't really know what else he could have done better, I guess you could say
He
at
was
that.
running all over the place
I
tonight
mean,
too.
he was escaping, like he was using his legs, like he's kind of like that quarterback. It's like, how the heck can you not like sack this guy?
I think about that every single time he
It
runs.
does like it doesn't look like he's running fast, but he gets like 6, 7 yards a scramble. And it's like there's nobody around him too. So, he was moving around the pocket and you have a good game. You think of the Chiefs outrushed the Eagles. That like when would you ever think that? But style of team that both of these guys are. So Pacheco was running hard. I mean, credit to Andy Reid, right? I know he's very pass dependent sometimes. When you have a quarterback like that, you just want to throw it around all the time. But for him to have, for a team, you run it 30 times, Pacheco gets 19 of them. Yeah, that's good. I mean, they really did control the game. It was the mistakes that the Chiefs made with the turnovers. And, you know, Mahomes missed Kelce on a critical third down. I thought it would have been like a 20-yard game, but they ended up punting. That could have been another 3 points, potentially a touchdown. And then, you know, Travis Kelce had that huge fumble. You know, you're down inside the Eagles you're in the red zone basically, and you fumble. So you take away points right there. So, you know, you can't do that. And I know you're the Chiefs, right? You're an alpha in the NFL, but the Eagles are a good team. You can't take that away. And you give them chances to stay in the game. Yeah, you're gonna get bit. And you know, I know you brought it up. Valdez-Scantling, that was so like I'm sure Tyreek Hill is just laughing right now still. Somewhere in Miami, he's just throwing a party for himself. I don't know. He might get a raise tomorrow from the Miami Dolphins. I don't know because
Man, they miss him though.
that's the route for Tyreek, right? When I'm desperate, I need a go route. Who am I gonna go to? Oh, why don't I just throw it to the fastest guy in the NFL and just let him go run and get under it? Sure enough, I mean, I know Mahomes in the interview said, you know, I gotta make that pass better. You know, I respect that. You know, he's being a good leader, not blaming anybody. But a wide receiver, you're in the National Football League. There was no defender around him. It hits you in your
Literally,
pocket, literally in your hands. You have two hands over the ball and you drop it. I have no words. And you know what's crazy? So they had the miss. I'm furious, like in shock. And then Mahomes comes back. They have the intentional grounding. So it's 4th and 25. And then they drop the ball again. I saw that play to Justin Watson. First off, terrible defense by the Eagles. I don't even know how you even allow that to happen. But Watson just literally runs like a 28-yard
a 28
comeback.
yard curl,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
comeback.
it's, yeah. And two hands on the ball. He had it. Like, he was a good throw by Mahomes. I mean, that just literally sums up the Chiefs this season. I mean, how many Kelce had like 2, 3 drops
He
plus the
had a drop
fumble?
on third down that they
Oh,
had
that
to
was.
he had to convert the next fourth down or game's over right there too.
Mhm. But like he had, I've never seen Travis Kelce make that many mistakes as a receiver. The fumbles, the drops. Justin Watson, he led the Chiefs in receiving, but he was terrible. I mean, he was really awful. I mean, Kadarius Toney, I think, had a drop. Sky Moore, I think he had a drop too. So it's like, oh my gosh, like the passes that Mahomes are throwing, it's like it's right in your hands. And I'm sorry, as an NFL receiver, you have to catch that. You have to catch that. And it just sucks because my Cowboys really could have benefited from this game. So from now on, I will never be cheering for the Chiefs. I never was a Chiefs fan. This makes me hate you guys even more with all you bandwagon Swift fans out there. I have no respect for you guys.
Oh,
You
going for
guys
the
choke.
Swifties.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, because they're bandwagoners. Just because, oh, yeah, I'm dating Travis Kelce. You don't know a lick about football. So, I mean, all these Chiefs fans. How many Chiefs fans are there before Patrick Mahomes? I heard of none. They're like crickets. So, I mean, that I have no respect for the Chiefs already. I'm done with them. Never putting faith in them. But the Eagles, you know, they're so lucky, very lucky because I didn't think they played a good game at all. And gotta give credit to the Chiefs defense. Honestly, I think Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, did a great job. You know, he was blitzing the nickel a lot, kind of disguising coverage with blitz, so playing zone. So I thought great plan there. AJ Brown was really a no-show. One catch for 8 yards. And you know, you gave up really one big play in the past game to Devontae Smith, but you know, to some degree, it's gonna happen. I mean, they're just too good. They're gonna get a chunk play at some point. So yeah, they had one play, but they weren't that explosive. So it's just a wasted opportunity. And Kansas City, you guys blew it. You guys blew it for me. I'm not gonna forgive you for this because this was just huge for my sake. And now I gotta shift gears. Okay. I'm gonna dump Kansas City away, forget them, screw them. I'm gonna jump on the Buffalo bandwagon now with Josh Allen now. He's
Oh,
got
see,
his
now I'm cheering for the Eagles this next week.
he's coming for the throat now. He said I'm effing back. That he's feeling confident after beating Zach Wilson. So I'm sure I'm on the Josh Allen bandwagon for a week. So let's go, Josh. And we got to cheer for family, right? Trayvon Diggs. I got to cheer for his brother, his family. So I like a good story here. So come on, Buffalo. Come on. I'm jumping from one AFC bandwagon to the next.
Yeah. So the thing I will say about the Eagles, Matt, is if I'm the Eagles, and this is just me being, you can call it a superstitious fan or just a fan that observes the nature of sports. There's no logic behind what I'm about to say, right? It's just these feelings that I see or get. Um, so, you hear the common phrase like, oh, the ball didn't bounce our way today, or we didn't get the lucky bounce today, right? You hear those expressions sometimes in sports. And I just gotta say, like I said with the Eagles, haven't felt like the juggernaut, haven't felt like the super team. I'll just be honest, like 3 out of the past 4 games, feels like they've been getting that break. And I mean, credit to them, they capitalize off of it. But you look at tonight, you know, MVS literally drops the ball that hits him in both hands, would have put them up, you know, seemingly by 3 if Jake Elliott makes the field goal or extra point, right? Go back to the Cowboys, half a yard, half like, you know what I mean? From scoring twice, Dak and the Ferguson one, like literally inches there. And then even, the Commanders gave them all they could handle the week before that. But the Miami game, you know, yeah, it was 31-17, but you remember everyone was discussing kind of the refereeing that was, officiating that was going on in that one, where they felt like, Eagles were getting away with a bunch of holds there. So I'll just say you only get so many breaks. That's just my theory about how things go, right? In life. You get the lucky bounces, uh, but they're not always gonna bounce your way. So that's the thing. It's like the Eagles, they're using up all their good luck or all their like little um good bits of fortune now. So that's the only
I hope
thing I
so.
would be concerned if I was the Eagles. We can come back to this if I'm wrong, come the postseason and they get the lucky bounce or whatever it may be. But that's just my intuition and observation of watching sports for, I don't know, 18 plus years now. So that's why I'm not worried Miami was losing early because you want those kind of fortuitous bounces to go your way down the stretch. So that's
Hey,
just my
and
thing. I just wanted to point that out. So
the hey, but that's a good point because as a Dallas fan, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, the ball has been bouncing the way. They still got to play the Bills at home, but the Bills, they beat the Jets, they bust them up. Maybe you get their confidence back a little bit. I don't know. So I'm holding out hope. And then the next week, they got to play the Niners. Yes, it's at home, but the Niners are very upset from last year, and they have Brock Purdy healthy now, so they kind of want a piece of that. So there's still those 2 games before they go to Dallas, where ideally, I mean, if they lose both of them, that would be terrific. But if they can lose one out of two, 1 game back going into Dallas or with Philly coming to town. So obviously you got to win that game anyway. So there's still hope in Dallas in Cowboy Land, but yeah, that's my optimism delusion thinking. But for this game, I'm not over it. Like Travis Kelce, you let me down. That's why I traded you. You let me down. I traded you. I don't want anything to do with the Chiefs already. Maybe I gotta trade Rashid Rice now. I just gotta dump them all. Just send them to free agency already because that's what these guys look like, free agent wide receivers. Can't catch the ball. I'm sorry. You're in the NFL. You need to catch routine passes, and you have the best quarterback in the league doing that. So if he can't do that, what team are you good on then? So all right, I
Yeah.
just had to. I sorry. I know it's kind of aggressive on the
No,
Chiefs,
I mean
but it's
it's
it's the
I believe
truth.
it's warranted. You
It's the
know, if you
truth.
watch the game, you hear, oh, drop pass, it's a drop pass. But when you see
But
where it's
it's
hitting them,
bad.
like literally the MVS one, I mean, you're literally known for being a track guy, you're a burner, you're a
Yeah,
four
you're a
two
deep ball
speed
guy.
guy, you're a deep ball guy. And the ball, I mean, okay, what it didn't hit him in that pocket where they like to catch it on the run, right? Like in between your forearms and your bicep, I guess. But
Oh, I'm sorry. I
it
got two
hits
hands
you
on the
in
ball.
both hands. I mean, yeah, you gotta make those catches.
And just Justin Watson, man, he had like three drops, like
Yeah,
easy drops. I mean, the last one, 4th and 25, three guys sandwiching him, but amazingly, the ball was still it went through his hands, so
that
it
reminds me
was there.
almost of the was it in the Super Bowl? You know, when Mahomes is his sideways throw
Oh,
where
the
he's
was it
like
McKinnon? No, not McKinnon.
or Edwards-Helaire, I think.
Yes,
Oh, someone. It was
against Tampa, right?
yeah against Tampa, where he
Yeah.
literally there's like the picture of him throwing the ball sideways, and his receiver jumps up and it hits him in the face mask. I don't know. I feel bad for Patrick Mahomes. He is. I mean, imagine if he had like I don't know
Tyreek.
the or you put him with the Cincinnati wide receivers, let's say, right? Oh
Oh,
my
oh
goodness,
Lord.
could you even imagine? So yeah, feel bad for him, but it's a team game. That's why you
It,
need 11, right?
yep.
Um,
Yes, you do.
okay, well, we'll look forward to a good NFL weekend. Quick turnaround, which is already 3 more days until we got football again. But
I know both of our teams don't play on Sunday this
I
week.
know, I know. So hopefully we have a good like going into the week feeling. But why don't we take a quick break here since we're done with NFL stuff? And when we come back, we will get to some college football. Okay, so moving on from the NFL stuff, we have to wrap up the UH football talk. Um, well, I mean, they still have another game left of the season, but their bowl chances are officially dashed. We will not be bowling this year in the Hawaii Bowl, fortunately, because we went up to Wyoming and we took a beating. So I know you didn't watch the game, Matt. Unfortunately, I watched the
Yeah,
game.
this is your time to shine.
Uh,
Or cry. I don't know what's a good word to describe it.
it's just, the worst part is like when you get your hopes up, you know? Like, if we're going to be bad, that's fine, you know? But don't go and beat Air Force and give us a chance at a bowl game, and have the defense look so good against Air Force, returning them over. We have energy on offense and come out and get stomped by Wyoming at Wyoming. Like, Wyoming scored 14 points within their first four plays, their first four offensive plays. So their first drive, they go three plays, right? They go, I think it was actually the first play of the game, Hawaii has a personal foul. Second play, they run for 5 yards, and then they throw a 44-yard touchdown on the next play, right? Hawaii, we go get the ball, we punt. Next play for Wyoming, they go 89 yards for a touchdown. One play. I don't even. I think it was to their tight end. I think they're like the guy was a tight end running down the field. He's out racing our corners and our safeties. A tight end. He breaks one tackle on a corner route, and he's housing it from the 11-yard line. Like, what? Huh? And then just like that, you look up, you blink, it's 14-0 within like 5 minutes in the game, and it's like, what the hell is going on? Right? Um, and then you have a chance, we come back, we're looking good, we're fine, we get some momentum offensively, we're going down the field, going down the field. We get first and goal, you know, can't get in, can't get in. We're running with Braden Shager twice for some reason. Uh yeah, so it's fourth and goal, right? Fourth and goal, the Wyoming to chance to get back into the game. It's 14-0 at this point, right? And lo and behold, what happens? We run a read option-ish thing. They've been doing like this. It's like a read option, but he's not decisive on if he wants to pull it or hand it off to our running back. He pulls it when, whatever. He pulls it, gets stopped, and that was pretty much all the offense we had the whole game. So from there, they don't go all the way down the field, but they punt, we punt. Then they go 21-0. Oh, and now look, 6-play drive, it's 21-0. 4-play drive going 66 yards, 28-0. 3-play drive, it's 35-0, right? So 35-0 at the half. It was cooked. We had no chance. Yeah, I think this game overall really sums up our season so far. We had chances, we had opportunities. Um, Braden Shager throws a pick in the end zone again, right? He's running a lot. I don't know if that's why that's so heavily a part of our offensive game plan. Um, I mean, we ran the ball 34 times, but for 67
2
yards.
yards a carry.
Uh, 2 yards a
2
carry?
yards a carry, roughly.
Not even, like a little bit under. So it was disappointing, you know. Can't say I'm not surprised, unfortunately. Whenever we go up to Wyoming, it's tough. I get it. We're Hawaii boys. Been in the islands. You've been in the islands for months, and you get the harsh reality of playing in Wyoming in that kind of weather. It's tough. I get it, but man, just knowing the fact that we had an opportunity to still win out and still go to a bowl game and really save you know a lot of the negativity that has been around the team this year. But um you go out and you put up a performance like that, it's not going to impress anyone. I mean, he had 319 yards of passing, the Wyoming quarterback, on 14 completions. 14 completions. So
That's about 19 yards a pass completion.
yeah, I mean, our defense was getting absolutely gashed, in the trenches as usual. Both sides, we are outmatched. Um, can't run the ball, turning the ball over. It was just a disaster as a whole. But I mean, let's be honest, we're calling it a wrap on the season because we can't go bowling. I'd like to still see them, go out with some pride, right? You want, the season to end on a good note. Hey, you win next week against Colorado State. Hey, that's a 5-win year, Granted, we played 13 games, but hey, 5 wins, build something to build off of for Timmy going into next year and the season on a good note. Um, so I would still like to see that. But I'm going to be honest. I think let's just do a quick look ahead because, season is essentially done, right? Um, we'll get Hunter on here because I want to hear his take on the whole season. But the run and shoot, I'm not impressed. Like there were flashes, right? But no consistency. So I don't know, Matt. Do you think we probably have to stay with the run and shoot at this point? And sounds like Braden Shager is coming back for his senior year. He's now fifth all time in UH history, which is pretty
That's right.
amazing. Um, but he's now, up there with the Hawaii legends for passing yards. Um, I don't know. I hope we get to keep I think McBride is a senior, right? I
Yeah,
hope
he's
we
a
get to
grad
keep
transfer, so he's
I hope
gone.
we get to keep Ashlock.
Oh,
I'm
please.
I'm not so
Please.
sure because he's been a stud for us all year. Um, Hopefully Tylen Hines comes back. I'm not even banking on that at this point, but we need something. Um, and I think we're gonna get shoot, what's our linebacker's name that got hurt?
Logan Taylor.
Logan Taylor. He should be coming back for his super senior year at this point. So that'll be a nice boost to have him back out on the field. But yeah, this not a ton to say. Just a sad way to go out, knowing we had a bowl game, still within our reach. Um, we just got steamrolled. it
Yeah.
looked it looked like we weren't even on the same playing field as them. So
Yeah. I mean, going into this game, there was that false hope, right? Oh my God, they're 2 wins away from going bowling. Like that would be amazing. But at the same time, I still did have a reality check. I didn't expect them to win this game, but I did expect them to be competitive. I will say that. Going off of that Air Force game, win of the year, probably win of the coaching tenure for Timmy Chang. So I would think the team would be playing with confidence, kind of knowing what's at stake still for the season. And, to just throw up this I don't even know what you call it. Not a goose egg, but outlier, I guess, of a score. It's just that's why we get frustrated, right? With UH football now. It's like they get your hopes up and then it just all goes back to junk. It's like they take one step forward and then okay, we're gonna take 3 steps back after the next game. So it's like oh,
yep,
you lose all that progress, that momentum you gain, right? The defense is playing good. Okay, maybe they'll play good, not saying, they're gonna hold a team to like 20 yards passing because the only Air Force, but to just let the other opposing quarterback just cook, like, yeah, that's not a good bounce back to me. So yeah, just kind of sums up the season. False hope and then reality check of a blowout. So I still think you got to treat this game, the senior night game at home, as like this is your quote unquote bowl game, right? The UH is playing 13 games, so they're getting an extra game. But I still think, man, 5 wins, it just sounds so much better to me. It's like, okay, we have 5 wins. We're 1 win away from a bowl game. Like that should be kind of the goal going into next season. Let's make a bowl game. I don't care who we beat, but let's make a bowl game. If we're 5 wins, like we're right there. We're 1 game away. And UH has had many of those games this year where it's like, yeah, we could have won that game. If we made this one play, we would have won, or we would have been more competitive in this game. So I just think that kind of has to be the mindset. You come in, you play Colorado State, like it's your bowl game. This is your Super Bowl for the season. So I'm curious to see how they respond. And I think I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they will because it is senior night. You don't want to let the seniors down and lose on your last home game. So I think they'll respond. Not going to pick them to win, but I expect them to be competitive at home, I would say. But as you said, right, the season, we'll have that recap once the season is officially over. But yeah, the run and shoot has not been what we're accustomed to. And maybe we're spoiled with what we've seen growing up. But the thing that really frustrated me, at least this season, was the whole Tylen Hines situation. Like it's so weird, and I still don't know what exactly has gone on. Like I think he's redshirting because he's injured, so he gets his eligibility saved for next year. But even when he was healthy, like the utilization was just weird to me. And going into the season, he was the hype man, right? Everyone thought, okay, he's gonna break out, right? No Dietrich Parsons, so he's the guy back there. And it just wasn't the case. It just seems like every game it got less and less of a role. And that's when UH was just so pass happy. They just refused to run the ball. So I always said, I don't care if you're in the run and shoot, you still can run the ball. And that's how you help out a struggling team. I mean, UH has had great running backs in the run and shoot system. Nate Ilala, right? One of the all-time great. Alex Green went to the NFL. So you got guys that have succeeded in this offense running the ball. So I'm a firm believer you establish a run game, and that makes Shager's job so much easier because he's going to be the quarterback next year. Let's put it that way. So I don't think he's losing his job unless he transfers, which I highly doubt. But I just want to see a run game, just something. We don't have to be Air Force and run 200 yards a game, but to run it consistently, you know, 60 or I should say 40% run, 60% pass, even 35-65. Like it, but it cannot be 90-10 or 8 out of 10 plays is a pass. Like I just think there needs to be more balance. So well, I hope they make that adjustment going into the off season into next year. But yeah, the run and shoot like me, it hasn't clicked this year. So I'm hoping another off season with Shager in the system can be the difference because that's all we got to hope on now.
Yeah, that is our hope, it looks like. But let's save the UH talk when the season's over. We can do a recap. Um anyway, let's move on to the rest of the college football talk. So Oregon, like you have here, survived the trap game. And now we get to look forward to the big one coming up this week. So why don't you break it down for us, give us the preview and what you're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, this game for Oregon going to Arizona State, it's a trap game because it's become a house of horrors for them for the recent years. They've gotten upset here before. Most recently, I believe it was with Justin Herbert as quarterback. They were ranked right in the thick of the playoff race late in the season, and lo and behold, this guy named Jaden Daniels just kind of ruined the party for us, and he knocked us out of playoff contention. Oregon ended up winning the Pac-12 that year and the Rose Bowl, but they could have had a shot at the playoff. And Arizona State definitely played spoiler. And even this year, Arizona State, they played Washington tough. They held that offense to 15 points on the road in Washington. So it was no fluke. Their coach, Kenny Dillingham, was the Oregon OC last year. So he knows Dan Lanning. He knows Bo Nix. He knows the system. So it's like, you're not going to sneak anything by him. So you just have to out execute. And, what else can I say about Bo Nix at this point? I think he's just cementing himself as the Heisman frontrunner at this point. I mean, he had 6 touchdowns in the first half, 387 yards in the first half, 387 yards, 6 touchdowns, no turnovers in the first half. That is ridiculous. I have never seen a stat like that. And they left no doubt in this game, which is good because Arizona State, you let them hang around, they're going to feel confident. And there was none of that. I mean, everybody was showcasing Troy Franklin, the Blitnikoff Award finalist, or I think semi-finalist, 128 yards, 2 TDs. Uh, Gary Bryant having chunk plays in the receiving game, Tej Johnson in the slot. Everybody had big games receiving. Even Patrick Herbert, of all people, had 2 touchdowns. So it was a good performance. And now they really did almost to some degree survive the season because they got to the Civil War now. They're still number 6. I don't know how the committee's going to play out. Tomorrow is the release of the rankings, but right, they're 1 win away. You beat Oregon State next week in the Civil War at home. You get your rematch against Washington. You beat them, you're going to the playoff. So you avoided all that trap games, the longevity of the season. Now you kind of made that home stretch. So now it's time to finish the job. And Oregon State is a tough matchup for Oregon. Obviously, they beat them last year in Corvallis, but Oregon State can run the ball. And that's the one area that, Oregon can be to some degree a little bit shaky. I'm not worried about DJ throwing it all over the place. He's not going to do that. He's not going to beat you that way. But Oregon State can beat you in ground and pound. So they've got to stop the run. The defensive line for Oregon's got to play big. And for Bo Nix's sake, you got to put pressure on DJ. You guys get up two scores, 3 scores, force Oregon State to throw it around. That's when, you can start getting the pass rush going, get some turnovers. But if you play from behind, Oregon State's just going to chew the clock out. And that's not going to be a recipe for success. So I'm expecting a close game. Obviously, I'm going to pick Oregon because they're at home and they have the better quarterback. So it's going to be a tough one. I'm sad that Blaze is in Japan because I feel like this is the year that I can finally talk some smack to him because he was pretty relentless last year, kind of out of control to some degree if we were watching the game.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, he was like, even after we left, he was sending me videos of him, he was drinking, he was having a good time. And I was like, man, this guy, like, okay, the game's over. Like, you can relax a little bit. But yeah, I'm kind of sad he's not going to be here. But, Blaze, yeah, you guys are going down this year. You're going down. And when you come back, I'm going to rub it in your face. So you better be ready. But it's always going to be a good game. It's a Civil War, best rivalry in college football. And just one game. They got to win one more game and they finally get to play Washington again. So let's do it. Let's do it. Black Friday. So your team plays on Friday. My team plays Thursday and Friday.
Yeah,
it's a busy football Friday for us.
Should be one to look forward to. But yeah, let's move off college football here. Get into kind of our last topics of the pod today. So a little bit of NBA talk. We always talk about the Lakers on this pod because they're my team. So I mean, we're looking pretty good. The West is extremely tough. It is going to be tight the whole year. I am anticipating it. Most recently we get a big win against the Rockets at home. LeBron, what do you say about this guy? I mean, year 21, he's still dropping 30 plus points. He had 37 in this one. He's dunking on people. He's hitting threes, contested threes. Austin Reeves hits a 30-foot three to put the Lakers up late.
Cold.
But more importantly, LeBron, at least he made 1 out of the 2 free throws to help them win that game in the end there. So, I mean, 8-6. Hey, I'm feeling pretty good. It's a long season. Looking forward to the in-season tournament because Lakers are 3-0. So hopefully we can get the sweep in our pool. I think that's what they're calling it. But hey, 8-6. We're 6th overall in the Western Conference. Only 2.5 games back of the Timberwolves of all teams who are in first place. And has got that team rocking. So yeah, so far, ups and downs. We're gonna have ups and downs. We're gonna try to figure out our roster moving forward. But Anthony Davis, yeah, typical Anthony Davis. It's like 3 out of 4 games he'll dominate, and 1 game he won't show up. Yeah, it is kind of what it is. Different guys stepping up every night. But yeah, 8-6, nothing to complain about. No panic here. So keeping it short there. But other, I guess, kind of big news. The most drama that's happened in the NBA so far this year is the fight between the Warriors and the
Go Bear.
Timberwolves. So, Gobert and Draymond get into it. But actually, it was Gobert. Who was he holding back? Uh,
It was actually Clay and Jaden
Clay and
McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels. Yeah. So they get into it. Clay's jersey's getting ripped. He has not been playing well this season, by the way.
Oh
Um,
no.
but Draymond is, I mean, sorry, Rudy Gobert is getting Clay off of him, his teammate, and then here comes Draymond, absolutely just flying into a rear naked choke. I was like, am I watching the UFC or is this the NBA?
Oh,
I
it's
don't,
WWE or something too.
yeah, I don't know. But just ridiculous behavior, I feel like, from Draymond. And it's funny because Rudy Gobert after the game says like anytime Steph doesn't play, he tries to get ejected because he doesn't want to play without him. I thought that was kind of funny, but then someone provided a graphic and it's like, yeah, more times than not when Steph isn't playing, Draymond is ejected at some point, which is kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird. Um, I don't know. It's a little weird if Draymond is doing that on purpose. I feel like just so he doesn't have to play without Steph. That's a little
I'll
odd
call it BS
behavior.
on that take. I don't think he's doing that on purpose. I think it's more ironic. But the choke was way out of line. I think they're just two guys, Clay and McDaniels, right? They're just, it was intense, right? Sometimes those things happen, but you can split up a fight by not choking someone out. Like that's a little too far. You can pull them away, be the middleman, but classic Draymond, right? Wants to if you can show I'm the tough guy here. I'm the big dog, and yeah, he does things that just you just shake your head, and I don't know. I feel like he's getting away with it too much. Like I know it's Draymond, that's his personality, but you would think after a while, like he needs to learn. Like you can be Draymond, right? You be yourself, be intense, but you can't choke someone out like that. And that to me is way out of line. And with his history, there needs to be some kind of accountability, some kind of, I guess, punishment for his actions. So I don't know what the NBA is going to do. I think 5 games was kind of uncalled for. I feel like it should have been longer in my case. But yeah, I think the NBA definitely needs to look into, this behavior thing because you can't keep letting a guy like this kind of cut corners in a way. Like he can act out of control, but oh yeah, he's just gonna get suspended for a game. Like, no big deal. So that's something I think the NBA needs to look at. But I will say for the Warriors' sake of their basketball team, I think they brought it up on First Take or NBA Countdown, not NBA Countdown, that Malika Andrews show NBA Tonight. But they were saying that possibly the Warriors should trade Clay at the deadline. Like I thought that was pretty interesting, but I don't think they're gonna do that. But I want to get your thoughts on that because I thought it was interesting, and I definitely think with Clay not signing the extension this year, I feel like this is kind of their last dance as the big three
I
in
think
Golden
so
State.
too. Clay just doesn't look like he has it. I don't know if you trade him. We're still early. Like, let's not go too crazy, but yeah, if Clay doesn't start being Clay pretty soon, I don't know. Maybe you try to get something in return before his stock goes down even more. So that's what I'll say about that. I don't know. I don't buy trading him just yet. Need to see a little bit more games being played before that happens. But yeah. Um okay. Well, that'll wrap our NBA talk. I know you wanted to get to some UH basketball real quick here, so I'll give you the floor on them. How are we looking this year?
Well, it's okay. I mean, we played two teams that we should have beat to start the season. So 2-0 to start off last week. They play UH Hilo. They've won every matchup in that series. Zorned is on Hilo, so kind of a homecoming game for him. But I think really in these first few games leading up to the Diamond Head Classic. I'm like, it's really, I'm trying to learn the team. What's the rotations going to be like? Who's going to be guys that you can count on late in the season? Who's showing potential? Who's struggling still? Like, it's just kind of, I'm learning the team. And after 2 games, I have some guys that have shown flashes. I think in the first game, definitely the guy that stood out for me off the bench was their true freshman guard, Tom Beattie. He's from New Zealand. Kind of a bigger guard, but he played really well. He had 12 points against Hilo, but he took 9 shots, 5 of 9, 1 of 4 from three. But the thing that I liked about him was he was very aggressive, attacking the basket, wasn't afraid to shoot the ball. And sometimes as a true freshman, right, you're going to be kind of passive, right? You got Javon, obviously Noel, 2 senior guards in the backcourt, right? Kind of going to defer to the upperclassmen. But this kid was coming out and he was putting his shoulder down, driving to the hoop, right? He made a three. So I was like, okay, like there's still some raw, things that you need to fix, obviously. But I just like that someone is aggressive because I feel like on UH, there really isn't a guy with a killer attitude or like a killer Mamba mentality, right? There isn't a guy that just says, I'm going to take the game over. Sometimes to some degree, Javon kind of took on that role last year, but it wasn't always the greatest. So it's nice to have guys that have shown or are showing that potential. So I like that. Noel Coleman's off to a good start. He had 10 points in the first game, but I think against Niagara, he had 21. He was just unconscious. He was shooting the ball good. Javon, kind of coming off the hype this preseason, he's expected to be first team all conference. Kind of a shaky start for him, honestly. I think the turnovers have been an issue, especially in the Niagara game. But I'm not really worried about him. I think we kind of know what we're gonna get. I don't think we're gonna expect like greatness, maybe, but he's still gonna be solid, I think. But the guy that I think has shown potential too is our new guy coming from North Carolina, Justin McCoy. He's the highly talented transfer, right? Played at Virginia, played at North Carolina. He's kind of replacing Kamaka Hepa. That's kind of like his role. But the thing that I liked about him over the first 2 games, I thought, yes, he kind of sometimes I thought, okay, he's just picking and popping, but I saw the ability to put the ball on the floor. And I think that's such a huge thing because I was so hard on Kamaka Hepa every single time because I was like, this guy is 7'1", probably, and he has no inside game. You can't just be a 7'1" guy in college basketball and shoot threes. You need to be able to punish guys inside. McCoy's not as big and as lanky, but he's a lot muscular. And there was a play, I think he got fouled, but he put the ball on the floor. It was a spin move. Like, he went up for a layup, he got fouled. And I saw that, I was like, okay, if he can do this and mix in the threes, he can be better than Kamaka. And he's a big guy. I think he had double-digit rebounds in the second game against Niagara, so he had a double-double. So I think there's potential there. He's still getting used to Jovan and Noel playing in the pick and roll, but that'll come over time. But the flash, I saw the flash there. The talent was there. And then the last guy, Juan Munoz, he's kind of the backup guard for this team. Everybody wants to know how this guy's going to do coming off a serious injury last year, and for the most part, I think he's been pretty good. The shoot, he still can shoot. That was always his thing last year. We thought he was going to be a good shooter. He's shooting at a high percentage. I think the only thing that he still needs to get is his legs. The agility. It's not quite there, I think, especially from last year. But if that's not the case, if he doesn't get that back, he can shoot. He can shoot and he can space the floor. So for him to spell Jovan, I think that's going to be huge because I think we were missing that last year. We didn't really have a good backup point guard to kind of run the offense. And I think he's coming in, giving us a nice glimmer of hope, I think. So, hey, we're 2-0. You beat UH Chile, you beat Niagara. They play uh, Northern Arizona tomorrow, so you should beat them. but they go on the road for a Thanksgiving weekend tournament. So that'll be an interesting test, right? Playing on the road. I always believe you play on the road in the non-conference schedule to practice that element of feeling the rowdiness of a away crowd. So I think it'll be a good test, but overall, yeah, they're shooting the ball good. The defense has been kind of shaky, but I think that can be corrected over time. But yeah, I think good start. But as you said, right, I'm waiting for the Diamond Head Classic. It's about a month away. That UP UH game is gonna be fun for me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that'll be a fun
I think
one.
it's gonna be a fun one. But
That'll
2 and
definitely be
0,
a fun
2
one.
and 0 after first week is that's good. That's good. So nothing too much to complain about. But the flashes are there. There's certain guys that are showing out. So that's the main thing.
That's good. Yeah, I definitely want to see that going forward. And yeah, looking forward to a good UH basketball season. Okay, well, let's start to wrap it up here. Baseball, the Yoshinobu Yamamoto sweepstakes, pretty much officially underway. I think he's like almost cleared to sign or something like that.
It
But
opens tomorrow, right? I think
I think
his
yeah, I
window.
know I knew it was soon. But he'll be signed real soon. I think after he gets to hear the pitches from all the teams. Sounds like everyone is gunning after this kid. I mean, I think he's like 25. He's our age, so it'll be great. Hey, if the Dodgers get him, I won't be complaining, to be honest. But
Hey,
yeah,
you guys
we'll
can
have to
have
see.
You guys can have Shohei. I'll take
You
Yamamoto.
want the pitching, huh? Yeah, he is. His stuff is nasty. Um, so everyone's going to be gunning for him. It's just I think it might just be who's going to offer the most money, and I think that's where the Dodgers favor the Yankees at the moment because we have Andrew Friedman, you have Brian Cashman, so I'll take Friedman over Cashman as of right now. That's where my faith is at.
Well, I will say if you get Yamamoto, I'm pretty sure you don't get Shohei.
That's true.
So is
That's
that
the other
you're
thing.
gonna make that sacrifice? I mean, that's something you gotta think about.
Yeah, that
I'll
is true.
sacrifice Shohei to get Yamamoto, assuming I'm kind of honestly assuming Shohei goes to the Dodgers at this point because I don't
Well, I
want.
hope
I heard
so.
a report that he was looking at the Red Sox. No, that's
I
just off.
heard, I mean, I
No,
heard the
that's a no
Giants, I
no.
heard the Cubs, I heard the Rangers,
Oh
Dodgers are
gosh,
in there,
the
Red
Rangers is
Sox are in
just
there. Yeah, I hope not, but I can stay hopeful, I guess. So we'll see how that one pans out. Yeah, Shohei rumors, maybe he's thinking of playing the outfield with his current situation, right? With his arm.
I
Let him
think that's a
DH, I think. Just let him
yeah,
DH.
but
Don't
I feel like that just diminishes his value in a
right,
way.
right.
Like if he's just a DH, that's basically what you're paying for a guy like Giancarlo Stanton or even to some degree Jordan Alvarez. I know he kind of plays the field a little bit, but you're paying big bucks for a DH. I can't get myself to pay that money. So you guys take him.
I think you got to take the risk. You
You
got
take
to take the
Shohei.
gamble and hope and pray he comes back healthy pitching again. Because if he does,
That's his
he'll be worth
second injury. That isn't that his second Tommy John of his career,
something like that. Yeah, but
and he's
usually
only
you come back
29.
stronger. So I don't know. I'm hoping it works out. Yeah, just go get him because you also heard the rumor the Dodgers are going aggressively after Mike Trout. I don't know if you heard that one.
I
Um,
no, I did
but
not hear that.
The Dodgers allegedly are willing to give up their entire farm to get Mike Trout, which would potentially help uh, have some favor with Shohei. So that's something to keep an eye out for.
Okay,
Could
but
be a huge blockbuster there.
can I just ask how do you afford that? Because Mike Trout is the highest paid player in baseball,
There's
and
no
you're
cap. There's
but
no
do
cap in
you
baseball.
but there's a luxury tax. There's the
Yeah, and
luxury
there
tax.
sounds like they're willing to pay it.
They're just gonna pay it, the interest rate.
I guess so.
Okay.
So that's just something to look out for. Nothing uh that's not real solid just yet, but
If you guys get that Mike Trout Shohei trade or whatever, That should be like the NBA when they ban Chris Paul from going to the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You
I
guys
can
can take
dream.
Shohei, but no, Mike Trout, you stay in LA. You signed the big contract. You gotta stick it out. You chose that life.
Yeah. I can dream, right? Other than that, oh, Soto to the Yankees, maybe? I mean, sounds like he's probably getting moved.
Yeah, he's getting moved, but Jeff Passan, yeah, he's a credible source. He said
right.
the Yankees are in good position because I guess they have what the Padres are looking for. And, to some degree, kind of an unfortunate thing, but didn't the owner pass away recently? So they could be looking, right? New ownership, you just reset, right? New, just start over. So how do you start over? Well, you get younger. Obviously, it kind of hasn't worked. The Dodgers are still the Dodgers. The D-backs obviously just went to the World Series, so they're going to be a team to reckon with. And you're kind of like third in the division at this point. So why not let the Dodgers prime run out? Maybe you catch the D-backs later, but the only way you can do that is if you get prospects. And what better way to do it than to get Soto? And we can give you who do I want to give you? You guys can have somebody. Anybody but Volpe. You guys can have Volpe. Take Pereira, take heck, you guys want Peraza, take him too. But yeah, Soto would be ideal. And I'm falling for it. Jeff Passan got my hopes up. I'm already kind of picturing like, oh man, Soto in left field. Man, him hitting in front of or behind Judge, that would be lethal. And then you got Yamamoto too. That would be great. You got your pitcher and you got your bat. So that would be
A
perfect
lot of
off season.
hypotheticals right now. So,
Yeah, I know I'm falling into delusion already. Maybe I should just stop talking because we signed guys like what is this guy? We signed some pitcher, some De La Cruz pitcher. I don't even know who this guy is, but he's a sinker ball pitcher, kind of what Matt Blake likes. So hopefully he can be another protege for us. But yeah, then the Yankees, I always get my hopes up and then they do something stupid. So I'm dreaming. I am dreaming.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's wrap it up. Oh, Aaron Nola, big key re-signing for the Phillies there. They get one of their aces back. I mean, he was so good for them in the playoffs. I think he's going to be a big piece for them moving forward in their future. But yeah, other than that, still pretty quiet. No crazy news just yet, but I'm expecting it to heat up once the winter meetings start, right? Um, but yeah, so let's round it out here, Matt. Who is your foolish fool of the week? Or do you have a couple?
I don't have a particular foolish fool, but I'll just pay homage to our original creator of this segment, Brandon Staley.
Hmm,
Um,
went
nothing really,
crazy.
nothing really he did in the game, but it was more the interview that went kind of viral. He got really defensive with the reporters. I personally, I was like, oh God, this guy. You could tell he's feeling the heat with that response. But Brandon Staley, to kind of counter what you said, aren't you the guy that's in control of the team? And I think I saw the Chargers have one of the highest payrolls in the NFL, which is absurd. And the fact that you have a quarterback that's, you could say, a top tier quarterback talent wise in this league. You got a top running back in this league. You got a top receiver on your team. You got, well, you had Joey Bosa before he got hurt. You had Khalil Mack, so you got pass rushers. I mean, you got all these weapons, and it just seems like you're just putting the blame on them and not so much looking at yourself in the mirror. So that's kind of foolish to me to throw your players under the bus like that. So that's what I kind of took away from those comments. I think that's really foolish to me because that's how you lose the locker room. And with this team, every week it's like you're treading water every single week. And for you to say comments like that, that just puts a sour taste in my mouth if I'm a Chargers player. So, yep, you're my foolish fool of the week, Mr. Staley Shenanigans, back at it again. I mean, we call it maybe in a different way, but he's back, back in the headlines in this podcast. So, yep, that's my guy this week.
Okay. Yeah, no real state of the 808 this week. Look forward to next week's one. Hopefully have a little bit more to talk about. But yeah, it was a long one. So why don't you just round us out here, Matt? Sports fact of the day and take us home.
All right, we are recording on November 20th, and we'll go back to 1977. So it's one of the Hall of Fame running backs. Might have heard him as Walter Payton, Bears running back. He rushed for an NFL record in a game 275 yards in fantasy football purposes. 275 yards is, I believe, 27 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So pretty big day if you had him on your fantasy team back in 1977. I don't
Which
know
I
if that
doubt they
was.
had fantasy. I don't think that existed, but yeah.
Yeah, but hey, that NFL record for rushing in a game. That's
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's a good one. I don't know if that one will ever be broken with how the game is going today, but uh yeah, shout out to
It will
Sweetness.
not. I don't think
Um,
so.
yeah. Okay, Matt. Well, let's look forward to a good weekend this week for both of our teams.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than that, everyone, please enjoy your Thanksgiving with your loved ones, family, and friends. Hope everyone, eats well, gets a little bit of shopping done for Black Friday, all the sales and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you everyone again. Stay safe, and we will see you guys next weekend.